I'm back from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, and well, the Bengals, they have holes that they need to address. We all know that. Right tackle, the offensive line, that is a big one. How will they protect Joe Burrow? Hear from Duke Tobin, Frank Pollock, and get my thoughts following a busy week in Indianapolis. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because, well, it is officially alert season. You never know what's going to happen. Free agency's right around the corner. News is going to break, and we are going to have you covered right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. A reminder, check out all of the videos because you might not have seen them. Andrew Fox Miller was putting in that work, whether it was the stand up with Elise Jesse and me from Tuesday, Zach Taylor, Duke Tobin, the Enter the Jungle show that we do every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern with Ted Karras this week, Dan Pitcher, Brad Cragthorpe, Justin Riscotti, Frank Pollack, Lou Anarumo, and Jordan Kovacs, the new safeties coach. Point is, all of them in one spot, Cincinnati Bengals Talk right here. And let's get into it because Joe Burrow, protecting him, that is the number one thing on your mind. It's the number one thing on my mind. It's the number one thing on everybody's mind because the Bengals are going to lose starting right tackle Jonah Williams. He's going to sign elsewhere later this month. So what are they going to do? Well, to me, the plan is exactly what we've speculated it was. And just talking to people, making sure your ears to the ground while you're at the combine and listening to what Duke Tobin, the Bengals director of player personnel, said when it comes to their hole, their void at right tackle. It's become crystal clear what the Bengals plan to do. Here's Duke on the right tackle void and potentially finding a long-term option.
We would like to have somebody man the right tackle spot for a number of years. Yes, that we'd like it to be a young guy that can come in and do that, or a veteran that might have the opportunity to rebuild his career or something. But yes, we would like that to be manned on multiple fronts, but we're concerned with having it manned well enough to provide us a chance to win next year. You know, that's the number one thing. And whether that's a rookie on a 4-year deal or a veteran on a 1-year deal, we're open to anything there.
What does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things. One, I think the Bengals are absolutely going to sign a free agent right tackle. And they know they need to do that because you just can't predict what's going to happen draft-wise. At the same time, the Bengals are as aware of the depth in this tackle class as I think any team in the league. And they know it because they have to get cheaper on the offensive line over the next couple of years. I was going to say younger and cheaper, but they just have to get cheaper on the offensive line moving forward. And the way to do that is drafting well and get young talent in there. And so that doesn't mean they shouldn't sign a veteran right tackle and a proven right tackle because they are in win now mode. So they need to do that. At the same time, that doesn't mean they can't, that they won't, that they shouldn't take an offensive tackle with the 18th pick, address the offensive line. And so to me, when I think about that, there are a couple of guys that have that guard tackle flex in this free agent class. Jermaine Illuminor would be near the top for me. But if you wanted to go a step above that, Mike Onwenu from the Patriots would probably be my primary target. The Bengals have a lot of cap space. You could go get him, and he can play both guard spots. He can play right tackle. He could play left tackle for you if you needed to, if something happened to Orlando Brown Jr. and he got nicked up mid-game or something like that. You could do that. He has that type of flexibility. I'm just not sure they're going to spend that type of money at right tackle because, like I said, they're already spending a lot of money on the offensive line. And that's why I go to Illuminor. Illuminor has that same versatility. He's played both tackle spots. He's played guard. And so if you got a tackle at 18 that plays really well, Amarius Mims or JC Latham or insert whoever, if you went that route, well, then you could just move him inside if needed. If there was an issue with Cordell Volson, if something happened to Alex Kappa and he got nicked up again mid-game, okay, well, you have Jermaine Illuminor, a proven sixth option, your sixth offensive lineman who could literally back up 4 spots. You back up both guard spots, both tackle spots. It's pretty nice to have. And so I think that will be the Bengals' plan, is to add a proven veteran And another guy that's been tossed around is Mekhi Becton. Could the Bengals go after him? Obviously has ties to Frank Pollack. He would be your swing tackle potentially if you drafted one early. If not, he's a 24-year-old former first-round pick that played pretty well under Pollack, by the way, with the Jets for 1 year. And before Pollack left and came to Cincinnati, I like the addition there. If they go that route, I like it because I think there's untapped potential with Becton. There's also an injury risk, and it would not prevent you. He's not a huge money signing. It would not prevent you from addressing tackle early in the draft. And I do think the Bengals will take an offensive tackle on the first 2 days of the draft. I wouldn't guarantee it at 18, but I would imagine that they're going to take advantage of the depth of this class and do it within the first 3 rounds. And really, pick 18 and pick 49, there could be some good tackles available for them to go after. What does Frank Pollack look for? And it's really interesting. There's a lot of discussion about Frank Pollack, and I get it. You hate him, right? On social media, everyone hates Frank Pollack right now. He's the villain, and that's fine. You can feel that way. I will say this. Not everyone that the Bengals drafted was necessarily what Frank Pollack is about to describe, because we asked him, and obviously when you look at especially a deep tackle class like this, a lot of guys are talented. But how he evaluates, it's not just the talent, it's everything else and how important the intangibles are. Here's Bengals offensive line coach Frank Pollack.
The bottom line, who makes it in this league to me, it's the intangibles. It's not what you see on tape. It's having to get to know the kid. So, I mean, I get 15 minutes with these guys officially here, then I get a couple 1 hour Zooms. I mean, it's everything you could get, whether it's resources from the school or who's coached them in the past or whatnot to get what makes this kid tick. That's a differentiator. It's their intangibles by far. It's not what you see on a lot of guys who come here with all the talent in the world and they get drafted in the first 3 rounds because of it, but they drift away and they disappeared. And you get guys who were late round draft picks because they had the bare minimum talent, but they had all the other stuff off the charts, so they carve out a little career for themselves, whether it's backup role players or they develop into starters or whatever that is. Or some of those guys even are wearing golden jackets, you know.
That stuff does matter. The work ethic does matter. And I can tell you firsthand, Frank Pollack, he's been on board and given the thumbs up with some really good offensive line prospects over the years. And for whatever reason, some of them haven't landed in Cincinnati. Others have, some haven't, right? Frank Ragnow, they really loved Frank Ragnow. 1 pick ahead. And he got picked right before they did. And Frank Ragnow is now an awesome center for the Lions, rather. Creed Humphrey. I'm told that Frank Pollack really liked Creed Humphrey. The Bengals had a chance to draft Creed Humphrey, and they took Jackson Carman. So, to me, this offseason is going to be about finding the right fit, long-term, that can develop, that can become something. And a guy like Cordell Volson, I do think is a good example because he's a 4th rounder from North Dakota State. And so what happens when you find a guy, and he's developed, and I think he will continue to develop. Where's his ceiling? I don't know. But he's, to me, already exceeded the expectations I had for him being a 4th rounder from North Dakota State. And so what happens when you get a 2nd rounder from Arizona? Hopefully Frank can get the most out of him as well. I'm just throwing it out there with the Morgan kid, but could be a bunch of different options. But I do think the Bengals are going to do what a lot of people expected them to do, address it in the draft, but first find a proven veteran in free agency because the draft can be unpredictable. And who knows, maybe things fall where they can't get one early and they don't get one until day 3. And if that's okay if you address it in free agency. And so the new league year set to begin, boy, oh boy, on March 13th. And we're going to have you covered right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Like I said, enter the jungle every Tuesday at 8. Free agency draft right here. So have a great weekend. Enjoy the combine. I will have combine takeaways. I will. There's no doubt about it. There's already Brock Bowers being measured 6'3", 243. It's really good for him. I think that Tavondre is certainly someone. Tavondre Sweat from Texas, weighed in at 366 pounds. I think he could be available later than some anticipate. So stay tuned. I want to wait and look at the big picture of this combine, react to it when all the measurables come in, all the times come in, because things are going to shake up a bit. And there are going to be prospects that were in line for being pick 18 that are no longer in line for being pick 18, and others that could potentially drive their value up a little bit, depending on what happens this weekend in Indianapolis. So for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button. This is Cincinnati Bengals Talk.